So, partnership versus attachment with regards to a relationship between a man and a woman, when the skills are not balanced, I heard someone say that there's nothing that is free. You understand? If you're not someone that is valuable, you don't bring value, and you now marry somebody that brings a lot of value, you know. And let's break it down. You marry somebody as a woman, you don't have money, but you marry somebody that is very rich. Don't assume that just because you married that person, then all of a sudden, whatever you get from the person, whatever the person has is yours. The truth is that if you don't have any leverage, nothing you get there will be free. You need to be someone that has value in order to bring value to the relationship, right? You need to be someone that has value to bring value to that relationship. So, if the scale is not balanced in that sense, you would pay for whatever you get. And there are different ways you can pay for it. You can pay for it by just being an attachment, instead of actually being a partner. So you would always be seen as the one that is taking care of doing the menial jobs, the things that. So, for instance, imagine someone of means and someone that does the heavy lifting in his life, has to use his mental capacity to make an income, whether it's by working on a job, setting up a business, is doing a lot mentally to create wealth. Well, because he puts in a lot of time and effort into thinking, he doesn't have the time to do the menial jobs, like menial things like maybe cooking for himself, regularly, or even driving himself. I remember how when I was in Nigeria, having a driver was not a luxury for me, because every time I had my driver driving me, I had enough time to organize myself. To I had enough time to plan, to make calls. I could achieve so much on the go. Whereas if I was driving, that would be challenging, so I'm missing out on valuable time that could translate to resources, things that I can achieve that could add value to me. So I'm missing out on that because I'm spending the time actually driving. So yes, so there will be those menial jobs, and that's why you see some people view themselves. They're married to this person that they say, "Oh, I feel like a glorified house help," and this also can happen. Because obviously, in our society, this usually tilts towards the female gender, but it also happens on the reverse. It happens on the reverse. It happens to men as well. It's a situation where the man is not pulling as much weight when it comes to providing resources, financial resources, material resources, which are very essential, to our daily existence. When the man is not doing that and the woman is doing that, there's the likelihood that the man will be the one doing the menial jobs, right? And if we are not conscious, if the one who has the higher value, so to speak, in the relationship is not conscious, you can make the other person feel less. And in most cases, unfortunately, a lot of people who have the lower value, in quotes, bring in less and have to do those menial jobs in the relationship. Apart from the fact that they feel like an attachment, in reality, sometimes they are just an attachment because they are not an integral part, of the structure and the system that makes the family work. And that is why sometimes in this kind of situation, if anything happens to the one who has the higher value, the other person is lost because they have no clue. They don't understand anything. They were not a part of the system. So they don't even know where to go, where to look. They don't know anything. And there are other people that could silently scrape away all of the valuables because they had more access than the actual partner or spouse. I hope this makes sense. So, you have to ask yourself this question and be truthful. Tell yourself the truth. Am I a partner in this relationship or am I an attachment? And listen to me, you cannot force yourself to become a partner. Partnership is something that happens between two people who are willing to partner. The first step that you even cross is to the willingness to partner. And then there is the building of the trust. That's the next level where both of you begin to learn each other and you begin to help each other build trust because now you have something that is mutually beneficial to both of you. You make the effort to build trust. And then this is where you begin to even see where if there are cracks, you want to try to mend those cracks. And if it's impossible to mend the cracks, you say, okay, this partnership is not going to work because we don't think the same way, we don't operate on the same tangent. My mind works differently from yours. And so there are those layers, right? So, but there has to be the initial willingness to say, hey, I want a partner. So we need to ask ourselves, are we in a partnership? Or are we just an attachment? That is a question that only you can answer.